Hello everyone. Before we dive into today's topic, we'd like to take a moment to thank you for your support. Every like, comment, and subscription truly makes a difference and helps this channel grow. If you enjoy our content and don't want to miss upcoming videos, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to receive all notifications. In the remote darkness beyond the main asteroid belt, where the sunlight is faint like a distant star and orbits are governed by titans of gas and magnetism, there exists a place that defies all earthly geological logic. It is a world seemingly trapped in a perpetual state of tension, collapse, and eruption, a celestial body that knows no rest, pulsating with energy like a frenzied heart, cloaked in a skin that shatters and regenerates in cycles of fire. This place is called Io, one of Jupiter's moons. But calling it simply a moon is like saying a volcano is merely a hill. Io resembles nothing we know. On its surface, scorching despite being nearly 800 million kilometers from the sun, hundreds of active volcanoes burst forth, bubbling lava lakes and plains soaked in liquid sulfur. It is the most volcanically active body in the solar system, a geological inferno shouting its existence into the icy void of deep space. Yet its secrets remained hidden until recently. For centuries, Io was but a point of light through a telescope, one of the Medicean stars, observed by Galileo Galilei in January 1610. Galileo didn't know what he was seeing. He was among the first to point a telescope skyward, and his gaze opened the doors to a new cosmos. The moon revealed its mountains and valleys, Saturn bore a strange form, and Jupiter was encircled by tiny dancing stars. Those stars, he discovered, were not fixed. They changed position, disappeared behind the planet, and then re-emerged. They were satellites orbiting Jupiter. Earth was no longer the unmoving center of the universe. Bodies orbited other bodies. One of them was Io. For centuries we learned little more. Its size even remained a mystery. In the late 1800s, astronomer Edward Barnard, using new telescopes, noted that Io appeared slightly elliptical, like an egg. The most plausible hypothesis turned out to be an optical effect caused by variations in surface reflectivity. Brighter at the equator, darker at the poles. Barnard also made the first size estimate, about 3,950 kilometers. A figure surprisingly close to what would be measured much later, in 1972, when Io occulted the star Beta Scorpii. Today we know Io has a diameter of 3,656 kilometers, slightly larger than Earth's moon, and a density over 3.5 grams per cc. Enough to confirm it is made almost entirely of rock and metal. But our perception of Io was radically transformed by the Voyager missions. In 1979, the twin probes designed to explore the outer planets flew past Jupiter's system. Their images revealed a world devoid of typical impact craters but strewn with entirely new geological features: colossal calderas, rippled plains, isolated mountains, and volcanic plumes reaching up to 500 kilometers high. It was a shock. No celestial body had ever shown such frenetic activity. Where does all that energy come from? How can a world so far from the sun, immersed in ice, be so hot within? The answer is a masterpiece of celestial mechanics. Io is locked in an orbital resonance with two other Jovian moons, Europa and Ganymede. For each orbit Ganymede completes, Europa orbits twice and Io 4 times. This resonance keeps Io's orbit slightly elliptical. Each time Io approaches Jupiter, the planet's immense gravity deforms it. The deformation is extreme. Io's surface rises and falls by over 13 kilometers, as if each day it were being bent and stretched by the giant's tidal forces. This constant flexing generates friction. And friction, as we know, produces heat. So, although Io's surface ever dips below -140 degrees Celsius, its interior remains hot enough to sustain a vast molten magma layer. This unique convergence of forces makes Io an extraordinary natural laboratory. It is the solar system's prime example of tidal heating, a phenomenon that may also help explain the active geology of other worlds, like Europa or Enceladus, where, instead of fiery hellscapes, we hypothesize liquid oceans beneath icy crusts. Eruptions on Io vary. Some are explosive and catastrophic, sending incandescent material into space and forming broad deposits around eruption centers. Others are gentler, akin to Icelandic lava flows, basaltic lava flowing for tens, sometimes hundreds of kilometers, sculpting smooth, rolling terrain. Still others are so vast they resemble true seas of fire. The paterae, planetary geology's term for volcanic depressions, are often active lava lakes. One in particular, Loki Patera, alone emits a fifth of Io's total volcanic energy. Its cycle is mesmerizing. The surface cools, cracks, sinks, and fresh lava emerges, heating again to renew the cycle. It is like a wound that heals only to rupture anew. The plumes, however, are the most spectacular spectacle. Some, like those in the Tavashdar region, reach heights of 330 kilometers. They are visible from space and in the right sunlight cast sharp shadows on the surface, like frozen eruptive clouds in the void. Some plumes are stable and long-lived, others brief and explosive. In both cases, they contain gases such as sulfur dioxide, molecular sulfur, and tiny solid particles that settle on the ground, painting Io in reds, yellows, and whites. But the implications extend far beyond surface geology. Ejected particles do not stop at the moon. Many are launched into space, ionized by radiation and captured by Jupiter's powerful magnetic field. This material forms a plasma torus along Io's orbit, a ring of charged gas that directly influences the gas giant's magnetic environment. Moreover, it enhances Jupiter's magnetic field, doubling its reach compared to what it would be without Io's contribution. And that is just the beginning. The interactions between Io and Jupiter extend beyond magnetism. The planet's polar auroras, those majestic light circles shimmering at its poles, bear Io's electromagnetic imprint. Even Io itself, with its tenuous atmosphere, hosts auroras, another visible echo of the invisible dance between lava, magnetic fields, and solar particles. That interplay is a perfect example of how unseen connections shape titanic realities. Io's influence on Jupiter's magnetic field is so strong that the plasma torus it creates forms a dynamic structure that co-moves with Jupiter yet remains centered on Io's orbit. This plasma comprises ionized atoms of sodium, potassium, oxygen, and sulfur, many originating directly from Io's eruptive plumes. They are torn away from Io's weak gravity and accelerated by Jupiter's extremely fast rotating magnetic field, a day on Jupiter lasting less than 10 hours. The rapid rotation literally drags the magnetic field and, with it, the plasma particles. This moving particle current acts like a dynamo, a continuous interaction between magnetic field and charged particles that powers Jupiter's auroras. Imagery from the Hubble Space Telescope and the Juno probe show arcs of light concentrated at the planet's poles, some directly linked to Io's orbit. These are auroral footprints, a visible signature of the Moon in Jupiter's polar lights, a true electromagnetic symphony between a planet and its satellite. But the spectacle is not confined to the giant's poles. Io, too, even with its thin atmosphere, exhibits faint auroras. Its exosphere, composed mostly of sulfur dioxide and other volatile gases, glows under bombardment by charged particles trapped in the magnetic field. It is a delicate phenomenon, nearly imperceptible to the human eye, yet clearly visible through spectroscopic instruments. A pulsing halo revealing the fragility and power of a seemingly minor world. This atmosphere is not stable. It not only changes from day to night, almost vanishing on the satellite's dark side, where temperatures plunge, but also varies with volcanic activity. Gases expelled during eruptions quickly condense into ice or escape into space, continually fueling the plasma torus. Some of these gases remain temporarily in orbit around Io, forming elongated clouds that follow the Moon along its path. Earth-based observers have detected these clouds as sodium and potassium streams, chemical signatures that extend Io's identity far beyond its surface. And Io's surface remains an enigma. There is not a single square meter of the Moon untouched by volcanism. Images from the Galileo and Juno probes reveal a landscape devoid of stability. Lava flows, paterae, plains stained by chemical reactions, towering mountains rivaling Earth's highest peaks. Some mountains, like Busal Montes, reach 17 kilometers tall, surpassing Everest, yet arise on a body barely a third of Earth's diameter. These mountains are not volcanoes. They form from tectonic compression, when new volcanic crust buries older terrain, compressing and fracturing it. The cycle is merciless. Each eruption deposits lava that, once cooled, builds new surfaces. These surfaces overlay previous ones, causing instability, fractures, stress. Eo's crust behaves like skin stretched too tight over a body that never stops growing. When tension exceeds a threshold, mountains uplift, fracture, crack. A living planet, but in its own way. Not driven by plate tectonics like Earth, but by internal compression from relentless volcanism. The different geological zones were mapped in detail by the Galileo probe, which performed 11 close flybys between 1995 and 2003. Scientists identified 5 major terrain categories: plains, lava flows, paterae, mountains, and diffuse deposits. Plains covered 2/3 of the surface, their hues changing with chemical composition: yellow where sulfur dominates, white where solidified sulfur dioxide accumulates, dark where basaltic rocks emerge. Paterae, the calderas, are the most distinctive features, just 2.5% of the surface, yet the true engines of landscape transformation. These basins are the hottest spots on the Moon, places where the lava not only emerges but moves beneath a fragile crust, sinking and resurfacing. Sometimes, as in Loki, the surface renews cyclically, creating a geological clock that ticks with the heartbeat of volcanism. Lava flows, on the other hand, are extensive and long-lasting. They can travel up to 300 kilometers before cooling, carrying gases that sublimate when contacting surface ice and forming stable small plumes. These volcanoes, like Prometheus or Amarani, are like glowing rivers carving canyons and plateaus, reshaping topography with each eruption. The most spectacular eruptions are the explosive ones. Volcanic centers like Pele or Tavashdar hurl material so high that some escapes Io's gravity entirely. The colored rings around these paterae are deposits of pyroclastic material, sprayed like cosmic paint on Io's yellow and red crust. Each color tells of a different chemical composition, each layer a story, a flash, a convulsion, an internal flare. Yet Io's exploration future remains uncertain. Upcoming missions like ESA's JUICE and NASA's Europa Clipper will focus on Ganymede and Europa, leaving Io on the periphery of their primary objectives. But NASA has repeatedly considered a dedicated mission, the Io Volcano Observer. Proposed multiple times for the Discovery program, its goal would be to perform numerous flybys of Io to study its volcanic activity, tidal heating, and interaction with Jupiter. It has not yet been selected, but remains a scientific priority in planetary exploration. For now, we rely on past mission data and telescopic observations. But what we already know is enough to shake any preconceived notion of a moon. Io is a world unto itself. Not a passive satellite, but a leading actor. It does not merely reflect sunlight, it emits its own energy. It is a cosmic laboratory where gravity generates heat, matter transforms into landscape, and the silence of space is shattered by relentless geological explosions. A blazing, pulsating hell orbiting, reminding us that out there, in the deep darkness of the solar system, even moons can burn like stars.